Hey everybody, I'm Misty Buck, president of Miss Inc. Digital Marketing, and we are here for another miraculous, I try to always throw in a different adjective there, a miraculous Marketing Monday. It is awesome. It's a little hot outside, but we are so happy. It is summer, and I am so excited to welcome my guest today. Yvette, she is a dear friend of mine. We met through Wild Bunch, which is the Zoom Miami's Young Professional Foundation. And Yvette's going to talk to us today about her marketing tips, but she's also a trademark lawyer. And I think that's super interesting. A lot of people would love to know about that, I'm sure. So Yvette, go ahead and introduce yourself, and then we'll get into all my questions.
Thank you, Misty. My name is Yvette Ayala. I work in Coral Gables at Rogero Law, which you can see on the screen. We focus on trademark and entertainment law. The firm as an overall focuses on intellectual property and entertainment law. I focus on trademark and entrepreneurs. So my goal is always to help people build something. I can jump right into what trademarks are.
Yeah, go for it.
Awesome. So trademarks are basically what everyone thinks of as their branding. So the proper definition is it identifies the source of a goods or service to a consumer. And so when you think about what identifies that, it's usually the word Nike, the check, the swoosh, you know. So I help people protect that so that even if it's a startup, at some point someone will be interested in it and they need the goodwill to come with the brand. And so that's what we protect. As far as intellectual property, the firm does an array of other things, and we have strategic alliances for patents because we don't personally do patents.
Right.
But there's copyright, there's trade secret, there's all of the agreements that come around to protect those things. And so that's kind of our focus. With entrepreneurs, I'm more of the person that comes in, tells you how to protect your branding. And then I'm like, okay, we're going to find all the problems with this plan.
Right.
And then from there, I help you solve all those problems. So.
Oh, well, that's nice.
Yes.
An entrepreneurial problem solver.
Basically.
Many of us could use that. So before we get into how you have built the practice with marketing, I do have some questions because I think a lot of times people might confuse what exactly a trademark is. And they might think, oh, well, that's my logo. I have a copyright to it or whatever. And so I own this. How can somebody just go and use the same thing? And so trademark is really protecting you in a completely different way. I've gone through the process myself of trademarking a logo. So, and I was really surprised at that journey and how many different, like how detailed it is. Because it's not like you're going to trademark a logo and that just goes across the board. No, you have to trademark by class. So how you're using it. And it gets kind of crazy. So can you just talk about some of those things that people come to you with often that maybe the general public doesn't know? So like difference between trademark and a copyright and all how the trademark works, all that stuff.
So I went over what a trademark is. Copyright, it's protecting authorship. So it's protecting creatives, it's protecting artists, it's protecting musicians. And to be clear, it doesn't protect the idea you came up with or the method or the process. It protects the expression of that idea. So my favorite example of that is star-crossed lovers. Star-crossed lovers cannot be protected. It is an idea. However, you can protect Romeo and Juliet specifically. That's a specific expression of star-crossed lovers. So that's the main difference between trademark. So trademark is more for businesses. Copyright is more for creative authorship. The biggest question I get regarding trademark is, so I found this company that has a similar name, but if I add agency at the end, will that be enough? And sadly, the standard, so first of all, words like agency that are descriptive will be disclaimed in any registration. So they don't count towards the originality of the name.
That's good to know.
To separate you from someone else and for among consumers. And there's a standard that, like you said, it's very nuanced and it's so detailed, and it's called likelihood of confusion. And that's really the standard. So if you have a business that uses, let's say, the word first, but then someone else has a business same second word. So let's say first animal, just to make something up.
Okay.
But you use the word first and the other person uses a one. It's confusing to a consumer. Right. Because they're going to look at it and be like, well, maybe that's just a different logo.
Right. True.
Especially if they're within the same class, like you said. So there are classes for goods and services. Goods, generally, they're grouped in related things. So, for example, if you are making canned tuna, it's likely in the same class as other canned goods.
Right.
And so just because you're making canned tuna and someone else is making, let's say, canned sardines, and that's their focus, and you have nothing to do with that, you still can't register in that class if someone already
of canned
has the
goods.
Name. Right.
Right. And that's where it gets really confusing. And there's a lot of detailed research that goes into it. Right.
Yes. And the USPTO, who governs all of this federally, right? Because you can also trademark on the state level. If for whatever reason you can't get it federally, and you've been using it longer than that person that got it registered, right, you can protect it in your state, because I won't go into all the rules, but generally first use is the most important.
Right.
And then first to register is also important. So you balance those out.
Yeah, it gets super, when this was explained to me, I was like, what? So luckily I had no competition with what I was trying to trademark, but but it still was like a very detailed search, and I only did one class because then it gets super expensive to kind of go crazy with all the
there's a fee per class.
And I was like, all right, well, at least I have it first in this class. So if I decided to do whatever. So
and the good thing is the USPTO at this point has evolved to a point where in regards to the goods, where even if someone has a related good that's in a different class, you're protected because it's a likely area of expansion for you. So you can be protected depending on what you've done.
That's interesting.
Right? It's all fact specific.
Right.
Which is why when people are like, oh, I'm just going to do it on my own, I'm like, okay, let me know when you're ready for me to intervene. Yeah. Because it can get very complicated quickly.
I mean, even, I had to do a renewal recently and I was like, what? That website is not user friendly. So
what's funny is I think it's so user friendly compared to other government.
Oh well, websites. I just try to stay away from government websites. Maybe that's what it is. It's like limited experience with that. So that's really interesting. So if you are thinking of trademarking something, even if it doesn't matter if it's a service, if it's a product, if it's whatever it is, if you're a brand and you have this awesome logo that you just want to protect.
And to be clear, you can protect both the name as a word mark and the logo. So people sometimes think of only the logo.
Right.
You can actually protect your name, which is, in my opinion, a stronger trademark.
That makes sense because logos might shift and change and stuff like
as your company evolves.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. Well, we have her website up in the background, Rogero Law, right? RogeroLaw.com if you wanted to chat with Yvette about that. And she will share her contact information as we go along this process. But I think the idea of trademark really falls into the topic of marketing, right? And intellectual property just so much because people, especially in today's world where there's a ton of content creators.
Yeah.
Right. So how do you, if you're a content creator or you're a small business owner, I think in either regard, you want to protect what it is that you're doing. Right. And whether if it's trademark is the right way or whatever it might be. So like, what are some of those first steps when somebody comes to you as an entrepreneur and they're like, oh, I do whatever. Right. What are some of those things that you look at to help protect them?
So when, particularly in their marketing efforts, the name and logo is the first thing. And they usually come to me already with a name they've got their heart set on. Okay. And I actually tell everyone I know, hey, if you've got an idea, run it past me before you even pay for an agency to help you create this whole marketing plan. Because if it's taken, you can't use it because you're technically infringing on someone else. So it's an effort to, like, it's a fine line because some names you just fall in love with and you want to fight for.
Yeah.
But the biggest advice is let's run a search before you marry a name. Before you invest too much in it, let's run a search, see what obvious pitfalls we'll have moving forward with it. And then as soon as you know that that's the name you want, we have what's called an intent to use application. So before you've even started using it, you can already file your paperwork so that you've got a placeholder with the trademark office, and you don't have to worry about
it. That's smart, because then you don't have to worry about whatever. I don't know. And is somebody gonna if it takes you hear me talking about this and go and do the same thing because they think, oh, that's a good idea, let me get in front of this.
No, and not even that. Let's say someone on the other side of the world decides
they come up with the same idea.
I really like this. They come up with the same name,
right?
And they start a business and they start using it before you. Now they've beat you to the punch,
right?
So you really want to protect yourself as soon as you know you want to use it, and it kind of serves as a placeholder.
I love that tip because there's billions of people in the world, right? I mean, how many even in the United States alone? Or if you want to even break it down to just Miami, I mean, it's crazy. And you think, oh, this is a great idea. And it is heartbreaking when somebody else has already like come up with it. Absolutely. You do like a Google search and you're like, oh,
or something that's just a little bit off from yours. And you're like, darn, I can't use it.
You can't use it.
And also, if you think about it, we're really living in a world market now. Mm-hmm. It's not just the United States. Someone in China can own a business here and, you know, create the same items that you're trying to market.
Right.
Or, you know, it's a company in Mexico, but they have enough clients here. And so they have a service industry here. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, absolutely run a search and see what's out there before you marry a name.
Yeah. But I love the idea of going to somebody like you first who can help you file that paperwork of intent. I think that's really smart. And I think a lot of people don't always think that far into it, but I think that's really smart. So what other tips would you give somebody when they're getting started? Not even necessarily in marketing, but when they're coming to you as an entrepreneur to get started?
So most of the advice I give entrepreneurs, they don't even realize they need when they come to me. So they come to me specifically because someone told them we should have an NDA before we're talking to investors. Great. You should.
Right.
But do you also have corporate documents between the two partners or between the three partners? I know you're best friends, but you never know what'll happen.
Right.
So my job when I come in, I always call it like general counsel, but it's out of house. So they don't have to pay a salary for someone to constantly be on call for them, but they can call me for absolutely anything that comes up for them. Whether it's employment contracts or I had a client that was a wellness business. And they had no idea they had to register with the state for specific permits to do that. Oh. And so things like that, where I look at your idea as a whole and I tell you, okay, these are the things you have to do on a corporate level. These are the things you have to do with the state, with the county, and we make a plan of action from there. Another thing that's different for our firm to be able to compete with bigger firms, because bigger firms have someone that can do absolutely every area of law usually. So what we do is we have strategic alliances with other small firms that we've met throughout the years, networking or whatever. And we've worked with them sufficiently that we trust their skills. And so let's say you come to me and you say, I need an employment handbook. I've never done one.
Right.
Okay, cool. I have someone that can do it for you. And because you're my client, you never have to deal with them.
Oh, you channel all the information.
Correct, because I know how stressful it is for entrepreneurs. But I love that.
Yes, and I love that because to me personally, this is personal, when you go to a business, especially something with somebody that you're trying to trust, right? So whether it's a healthcare provider, a doctor, which would be, I guess, a healthcare provider, a lawyer, a finance, somebody like that, that's like, you have to have a lot of trust in this person. To me, it's all about the relationship. Now, there's people that they don't really care about that. They just want the service done. But there's people like me that I don't want to just feel like I'm being bounced around. Like I want to deal with somebody consistently because they understand because then you understand my business, right? And I don't feel like I'm repeating things or that I have to describe my business all over again. So I really love this approach that you guys are taking because I think there are a lot of people, not everybody, but there's a lot of people like that really want that personal relationship, and it's not, you don't have to fuss around.
I also find for me, I mean, in a sense, I am an entrepreneur as well.
Right.
Because I have my own book of business. And so I found that when I had to find the answers to questions in like 8 different people, it was overwhelming because you already have so much you've got to do for your business to work. And so that's how I sort of came up with that for my clients, where I started offering the service, and the clients I do have loved it. And so it kind of became my thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, I love that approach. I think that's super smart. Super, super awesome. All right. So let's talk about some of those marketing tips. So how you all have built your business. So it's a small firm. It's just you and David, right?
It is just me and David.
Yeah. So how have you been able to build up those book of clients that you just mentioned?
David and I have built our book of business very differently.
Okay.
He's been practicing, I mean, I don't even know how many years he's been practicing. I won't try to put a number on that.
I'm not going to make
but longer than me. I've been practicing. It's going to be 10 years in August.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. And I'll start with what I learned from him.
Okay.
And then go into what I've added.
Perfect.
And so the first thing I learned from him was, if you do good work and you build a reputation for someone that goes above and beyond for the client, it makes its way around our community. And to be honest, that's the number one marketing thing I do, because just as a matter's wrapping up and, you know, our business wheels it's going, oh crap, I'm running out of stuff to do. Immediately, like, I worry for nothing, I've found, because right away someone calls me and says, or a client calls me and says, hey, I want to send you this person. I talk to them and they, you know, it's like almost like you build an army for yourself,
right,
to send you work. And that's been that was the first thing I learned from him, and honestly the strongest marketing tool we use. From there, I want to say networking, but so I join all these associations. We're in some of them together, and that's one way. But I find that everyone's trying to, you know, sort of make their face and and like make sure you remember them for their business. And so sometimes it becomes overwhelming to the people that go, and you have to go very regularly. For me, networking has become more of a way of life. And I call it that because let's say I meet you at the grocery store, and at the grocery store, we strike up a conversation and I find out, I don't know, you do financial planning.
Okay.
My brain immediately makes a note. Who can I connect that'll benefit that person? And so it's more of an authentic thing because I met them being people instead of being these like networking robots.
Those events can be very overwhelming when you're with people and they're just like, here's my card, here's my card, here's my card, here's my card, and you're like, okay, great. And then
or hyper focused on what you do, and if the service you provide doesn't really ring a bell for them, it's okay, on to the next.
Like you meet these people. So I think like the people that are the most successful, to your point, at networking are the ones that are building those relationships, and that comes through what? Through helping other people, through just really organically building that relationship. So maybe right then and there, they're not ready to say, hey, but I have a trademark, or I need you to help me with my my business.
Right.
I'm an entrepreneur. But if you're able to stay in touch with that person and you're able to build those relationships, I think that's really where the key is. So I would agree with you on that for sure. We talked about that actually in last week's show with Brett.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. It's so important.
Yeah, the authenticity, the actually finding a thread in common.
Right.
That then will remind them. And then also, like, I think it always comes full circle, right? So if I help you in your business, when someone does come to you and says, I need an attorney,
right,
you're going to think of me.
Right, of course. Or if it's like, somebody else needs, like, I know somebody who might need what you need, right? It's kind of like I scratch your back, you scratch mine type of a situation. Right. So I think that's super duper smart. So, and I know a lot of the work that you do too in the community is a part of your networking just by extension, right? Because you're meeting people. So you're really involved with animal conservation.
Yes.
Right. So talk to us a little bit about that, because you have this phenomenal organization that I'd love to help spread the word out.
So I will say, I find that people are more interested in that part of my life than in me being an
At
attorney.
the animal conservation. But that's what happens, right? Like this is what happens. Like you find something that you're interested in outside of work that you can bond with people in. So you have like this common bond. So not everyone's going to bond with you over trademark law,
Of course,
right? But not everyone's going to bond with me about, other things too. So, but when you find that common bond of like animal conservation, for example, then it's like, oh, okay, I trust this person. I like this person. We're vibing with something that's important to us. And already there's that personal connection. You're building that relationship. So tell us a little bit about Reclaimed Earth.
So I founded Reclaimed Earth. It's going to be 4 years now. And it's a nonprofit dedicated to the conservation of endangered wildlife. And we have projects in South Africa, in Botswana, and here. And our goal is first to just raise awareness, because I talk about, for instance, panthers, and people are like, there's no panthers in the Everglades anymore. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And so we raise awareness, and then of course you have to raise funds for it because it's expensive. It is my passion. I can do that all the hours of the day,
right?
Not need sleep for that. But it to your point, it's one of those things also where I have to network so that the message continues to get out, so people show up to the events, so that the money gets raised, and they both feed each other, is what I've found, because I can meet someone through Reclaimed Earth that needs an attorney, and then because they see how passionately I work for Reclaimed Earth, they're like, oh, let me see how she is as an attorney, and vice versa, right? I have people that I meet as clients, and they're like, I love what you do. Where can I make a donation?
Right.
But it's our big thing right now is we're looking for volunteers to come with us to South Africa.
Who wants to go to South Africa? Leon's raising his
So we're going, we leave the weekend of Labor Day. This year.
Oh my gosh.
We're going for
put it on the calendar.
One whole week, right? The whole office.
Yeah, just block it off now.
We're going for a week, and we have partners down there who rewild land and then reintroduce species onto those lands.
Oh my God,
for example, they bought out an old pineapple farmer, and the first year we went, we helped clean out all of the trash that all of that leaves. We also pulled invasive plants. We looked for snares, because sadly the communities outside of these areas leave snares for the animals. And so we were involved in all of that, and now it's a beautiful conservancy, and they have giraffes, and we've seen on the camera traps leopards. And so it's just spectacular. Their goal is to create a whole, there used to be this corridor along the wetlands there, and slowly that got bought out by farms. And so they're creating all of these new but old spaces.
But this makes my heart so happy because especially here, it's, I've born and raised in Miami, right? So you see it, and you see how things have changed, even from when my parents, how they describe how Miami used to be. And I love the city, no doubt. That's why I still live here. But it's hard. It makes my heart happy to hear that there's places where they're sort of reversing course on some of that development and business minded things.
Well, so in Florida, we've had some wins. I partner with an organization called F-Stop Foundation, and their goal was to take these beautiful photographs of panthers and other wildlife that lives out in our Everglades, and they take those photos to FDOT, show them, look, these animals are crossing this highway, and FDOT will come in and approve a plan to create a culvert for them.
Oh, wow.
And so it's not quite where South Africa is, but it's absolutely beautiful to see that even in such a populated area like Miami is, we're doing these things.
Yeah, that we can find, when you can find a way to coexist.
Exactly.
Right. And support one another. I think that's super important. So I absolutely love that work that you're doing. So I think we have a few minutes left here, but one of the other things because we could talk about animal stuff all day. I don't want to take over the show.
Absolutely.
About that, because I easily could. But another thing that you're really good at in getting the word out about your business is speaking engagements. Is that correct?
So things like this. So I appreciate you having me on, because I find that when you become an authority you don't have to be the absolute authority about something, but if you are well versed enough that, and people constantly see you as that voice for that topic, they think of you as an authority, and then all of a sudden you're who comes to mind if they need that service or if they need guidance. I have clients that come to me and they're like, oh, I got in a car accident. I don't do that. But they trust me to find that person
for you.
And so I find that these engagements, both for Reclaimed Earth and for our practice, make a huge difference. So from time to time, I'll do CLEs, which is continuing legal education. I've done some webinars that are for the public where they just want to know basic things about trademark, copyright, or basic things on what they need when they're starting a business. Like where do I start? From zero.
Those are really important topics. That's
Absolutely.
Awesome.
And so even if someone doesn't know me, someone tells them, hey, watch this webinar.
You're getting ready to start a business.
And so I'm the one they call.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. And I love that too, because number one, you're addressing like very basic stuff. So sometimes people make things so much more complicated in their mind.
I'm one of those people sometimes.
I mean, me too. Obviously 110%. But I think too that being able to say, okay, let me just break this down to bare bones. Like, how can I help people and serve them and give them a message? Again, whether it's something about law or animal conservation or whatever, that maybe they wouldn't otherwise know. And I think people will hold themselves back. So I give you a lot of kudos for stepping out and doing those things, because some people in their mind might be like, oh, you can just look this up on Google, or why do they need to hear this from me?
Yeah.
And I think that, I give people a lot of credit that step up and step out to do stuff like that, to become an authority in your field is so.
And don't get me wrong, you heard how I qualified the word authority, because I absolutely struggle with all the things you're talking about also. But I've learned that whatever it is, as long as you're moving forward and making action, it's going to be beneficial. Even if you bomb, you're learning something.
Right.
And you have to view it like that versus, oh, I'm not good at that and I can't do it again. No, you try it again and you'll get better.
Yeah.
It's like when we learn to walk as kids.
Exactly. But we get away from that, right? Like we had no fear when we were kids, and you just, many times you fell, you got right back up. But as an adult, somewhere you learn about, all these different things. So I love to share the quotes with how Edison would talk about, didn't fail 10,000 ways, he found 10,000 ways not to make that. And then Michael Jordan, or whatever the number one was, and Michael Jordan talks about missing all the shots in his life, and that's why he was able to succeed, because he failed, and that's what taught him how to succeed. Right. So I think those pivots and putting yourself out there is something that is super scary. And
I actually, sorry to interrupt you, but please. Michael Jordan, I think, was the one that he had a whole thing that he did about how he would watch his, like, if he thought he played an awful game, he would sit and watch that game and be like, okay, that's what I did. And that's what I did. And that's what I'm talking about. Like learning from, okay, you bombed, fine, but don't shy away from it. Like, own it and learn from it.
Yeah. And I love that, because it's easy to like really beat yourself up over that. 100%. And then it's also easy to just not put yourself in that position to try to begin with, because you're afraid of failing. So I love that you do that and that you take the courage to do it. And I hope more people watching this show will use their voice, talk about the things that they know, even if there's 100,000 other people talking about that topic, because no one's going to talk about it the way that you are.
Right. And no one connects the same way. So
exactly.
If you talk to me about something, that hearing may not be right there for me. You know what I'm saying? And so you may reach the people that the other person couldn't reach.
Right. Yeah. There might people that be like, oh my God, that Missy, she's so annoying, I can't listen to her. No, I'm serious. But then there might be people that are like, oh, she says things so clearly, I really vibe with what she has to say. Like, and you can't control that, right?
No,
and you can't serve everybody anyway.
Completely personal preference, right?
So it is what it is. So, all right. So I know we are getting down to the wire here on the show. So are there any last minute tips that you want to offer? But definitely make sure you tell us how people can contact you too.
Okay. So contact me via email. I can spell it out, and I guess it can be put on the caption.
Yep.
the show. So it's YHA, so my initials, and then the rest of my last name, YHAYALA at DMRPA.com. That's the best way to contact me. Like we were discussing before the show, I don't know how to turn off my email yet. I'm learning how to create a boundary.
Connected. You guys want to laugh? So she tells me like, oh, she texted me this morning, Misty, I sent you all the information yesterday, and I'm like, okay. I'm like, I don't check my
YHAAYALA at DMR.
YHAYALA.
Yeah.
You have an extra A in there, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
DMR.com.
Yeah.
DMRPA.com.
It's the first initial, middle initial, and then the full last name.
Yeah.
Okay. At DMR.com.
DMRPA.com.
So we're gonna get this right so that we can have it on the screen, and there you guys can have it. There you go. So that's how you can contact Yvette. She's really quick to respond and just a lovely person all around, inside and out. She's recently married, so congratulations on that.
Thank you. As I blush.
As I blush. And she's really involved in the car scene too, actually, as a result of that marriage, right?
Yes.
We both can relate to that too.
Yeah. He loves his old cars.
Yes, so does my husband. So there you go. So another thing that we connected. All right. So with that, anything else that you want to leave us with, and we'll go ahead and close out the show?
I mean, my takeaway, what I want people to take away always is don't fear what you don't know. Try it anyway.
Mm-hmm. And see what happens. Yeah. I love that. Don't fear what you don't know. Try it anyway. So we will leave that as our words of wisdom to close out the show today. So thank you guys again for joining us. We will be back next week with another guest on Marketing Monday. If you have questions for me, or you're interested in being a guest on the show, or have a topic idea, just go ahead and reach out to me. I'd be love to hear from you. And Yvette, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And for
this was awesome.
Today. It was fun. I'm liking this new studio vibe. So it's
really
a change
nice,
from
actually.
the one that we've been in for like almost 2 years. So anyways, I want to thank you guys again for being here. Make it a good week. We'll chat soon. See you then. Have a good one.